Cytoskeleton, cyto for cell, and you know what the skeleton does in your body, so it's really the same kind of idea but within a cell. So this is a system of rod-like proteins, and they help to do a lot of the same things that your skeleton does for your body, but within a cell, so they give it structure. So they maintain the cell shape, and they also help to move organelles around, just like your skeleton helps to move your body around in coordination with your muscles. So it's sort of like that. So here are the parts of the cytoskeleton, or at least some of the parts. Here's a mitochondria, and that's not part of the cytoskeleton. Here's the cell membrane, I think, on the top and the bottom. This thing here is a microtubule, and you can see that here and here. Those tubes are made out of protein, and they give the cell strength. Here's a microfilament, and that does the same thing, but it's a different type of protein. So here's a microtubule, and these are little proteins called tubulin, and look at, you can see it's making a polymer. And here are microfilaments. We talked about actin a little bit already, but here are some little subunits, the actin subunits, and the whole thing together is called a microfilament. Here's an intermediate filament, and these are the same idea. So you have another protein, and it's a fibrous protein wrapped around another, and then they wrap around each other, and then all of these wrap around each other. So this is really a lot like a rope. It's very, very strong. So they do movement within the cell. So these proteins can move structures within the cell, and it's powered by ATP. And they attach to receptors on organelles. So you saw that in a video that I think I showed you already in class, where you have, this is the organelle, here's the microtubule, and then here's this little motor molecule, and if ATP attaches to it, it can kind of wind and walk back and forth. And here's a whole bunch of them that are working together. And you saw this in the video that I showed you when we started the cell structure unit. Some cell movements, amoeboid motion, that's a motion that you'll hear about at some point, so I wanted to define it here. This happens in amoebas. It also happens in your white blood cells. They use their cytoskeletons to push their cell membranes out and to roll over. And so here's a video of amoeboid motion that's not going to work. I think it's not going to be screen captured, so I'll do that for you in class. Cytoplasmic streaming, this is something that happens within the cell, inside the cell, rather than moving the entire cell as the last one. So cytoplasmic streaming is the flowing of cytoplasm in eukaryotic cells. Membrane-bound organelles crawl along the cytoskeleton, and when that happens, it starts the whole cytoplasm in there moving around. So here's another video that I'll show you in class, but the chloroplasts, it's probably not working, but the chloroplasts are moving along, and so I'll show you that one. Okay, centrioles, you had to make these for your cell projects, and one's going this way, the other one's going in the other direction. These will show up during cell division. They're found only in animal cells. And here's a pair, and here's another pair. So during cell division, you have to pull chromosomes apart. You have to line them up in the middle, then pull them apart. And so that's what these centrioles will do. They'll organize these microtubules here, these spindle fibers that will separate out the chromosomes. And it works also in plant cells, but the plant cells don't have centrioles. It works with a different mitotic organizing unit. So they appear during cell division, either during mitosis or meiosis, happens in both, and just in animal cells. So they help to pull chromosome pairs apart during cell division. Centrioles also form the basis of cilia and flagella in eukaryotes. And so let's take a look at that. The function of cilia and flagella is in moving a cell, or in moving fluids or small particles across the cell surface. So this, again, is another video I'll have to show you in class, So here are cilia, and here's a flagellum. So the flagellum is the long one, and the cilia are the little ones. So you can also move, these are cilia moving mucus along. So cilia can move a single-celled organism, or one of your cells in your body, like a white blood cell around, or cilia can be attached to a bunch of cells that are stationary, but they're moving something across them, in this case mucus. So they're made of protein tubes, and here's what they look like. So here are the microtubules, and here's a bunch of them, and so you have them in a circle, and you have a couple in the middle. That's called a 9+2 arrangement. And there's cilia. Cilia are when you have a whole bunch. So cilia are shorter and more numerous on cells. Flagella are longer, and there's usually only one or two, maybe three. And so here's a cell that actually has three flagella. But cilia are way, way, way more numerous and they're shorter. And so here's some more cells with flagella. Here's a bunch of here's a bunch of cilia working, where you can see the power stroke where the cilia is going down and then pulling back up. And here's the cilia being kind of moving mucus along in one direction. Okay, the last thing we're going to do in this unit is talk about when cells meet. And so there are lots of different types of connections when cells meet. Here's one that has a channel between the cells. And so if you look at this one, if you had an ion like sodium, it could actually go right through there and go to the next cell. There's right through here, right through here, right through here, like this. And so you see that they're called gap junctions. They allow ions to pass between cells. They're present in tissues like cardiac tissue because you want, if one cell is excited, you want it to be able to pass its electricity to the next cell. And so that's how that works. And that is the end of my story.